Most people believe the only way to increase their income is to increase their effort, and on the surface, that idea makes sense. If you want more, you do more. But the problem with that approach is that it ties your income directly to your time and energy, both of which are limited. You can only work so many hours in a day, and you can only sustain a certain level of effort before it starts to affect your performance, your health, and your consistency. That's where burnout begins. Not because you're incapable, but because your system is overloaded. What most people don't realize is that income growth is not primarily about effort. It's about leverage. It's about increasing the value of what you already do, improving how efficiently you do it, and structuring your work in a way that produces more output without requiring more input. When income is built on effort alone, it eventually plateaus because you reach your capacity. But when it's built on leverage, it can continue to grow without increasing your workload. That's the shift we're making today. We're moving from effort-based income to structure-based income. Because if your income requires you to constantly push harder, it'll never feel stable. But if it grows through systems, it becomes something you can maintain long-term. And long-term sustainability is what allows income to compound instead of collapse. Step 1 is identifying the true source of your income in terms of value, not activity. Most people describe their work based on what they do day to day: tasks, responsibilities, meetings, and outputs. But income is not determined by activity. It's determined by the value that activity creates. Two people can work the same number of hours and produce completely different levels of value, and that difference is what determines their income potential. So instead of focusing on what you do, you need to define what result your work creates. Does it generate revenue? Does it solve a high-cost problem? Does it improve efficiency or reduce risk? These are the outcomes that increase value. Once you identify that, you can focus on strengthening it. That might mean improving a specific skill, specializing in a higher impact area, or repositioning your role to focus on outcomes that matter more. This is how you increase income without increasing hours. You increase the value of your output. And once your output becomes more valuable, your income has room to grow without requiring more time. Step 2 is optimizing your current position before expanding outward. Most people immediately look for additional income streams without fully maximizing what they already have. But your current role is often the most efficient place to increase your income because you already understand the environment, the expectations, and the opportunities. Increasing your value within that space is faster and more sustainable than starting something entirely new. This requires intentional positioning. You need to focus on visibility, measurable results, and alignment with what your organization values most. If your work directly contributes to something the organization prioritizes, your value increases. And when your value increases, your income potential increases. This might involve taking on higher impact projects, improving performance in measurable ways, or positioning yourself as someone who solves problems instead of just completing tasks. The goal is to move from being replaceable to being valuable, because value creates leverage, and leverage creates opportunity for income growth without requiring additional hours. Step 3 is building a second income stream that is structured around leverage instead of effort. If you choose to expand beyond your current role, the goal is not to create another job. It's to create something that produces income efficiently. This means leveraging skills you already have instead of starting from zero. For example, consulting, freelancing, digital products, or services that can be repeated without requiring constant additional time. The key is structure. You don't want something that depends entirely on your availability. You want something that can produce income in a controlled and scalable way. This reduces the risk of burnout because you're not doubling your workload. You're extending your output. And when your output is extended through structure, it becomes sustainable. This is the difference between adding more work and building more income. Step 4 is increasing your output per hour by improving efficiency. This is where small changes create significant impact over time. Most people have inefficiencies in how they work, but they don't notice them because they've become routine. These could be unnecessary tasks, repetitive processes, or time spent on low-value activities. By identifying and reducing these inefficiencies, you free up time without working more. That time can then be redirected toward higher-value work. This increases your effective income because the same number of hours now produces more valuable results. You can also look at automation, delegation, or simplification as ways to improve efficiency. The goal is to reduce wasted effort and increase meaningful output, because income is tied to output, not time. Step 5 is protecting your energy as a core part of your system. This is one of the most overlooked aspects of income growth. People focus on increasing output without considering the resource that drives it. Your energy determines how effectively you can work, how consistently you can perform, and how sustainable your system is. If your energy is depleted, your output decreases, and your income potential is affected. So you need to treat energy like a resource that needs to be managed. This includes setting boundaries, avoiding unnecessary workload, prioritizing rest, and maintaining a schedule that supports long-term performance. Because if your system depends on constant high effort, it will eventually fail. But if it's built around sustainable energy, it can continue to produce results over time. Step 6 is aligning any increase in income with your financial system so it creates real progress. Without alignment, increased income often leads to increased spending, which cancels out the benefit. So when your income grows, your system needs to absorb that growth intentionally. Your savings increase, your investments expand, and your structure remains intact. This ensures that your income growth leads to actual improvement instead of just a higher cost of living. Because the goal is not just to earn more, but to keep more and build more. So your action for today is to shift your focus from effort to leverage. Identify where your value comes from, optimize your current role, build structured income streams, improve your efficiency, protect your energy, and align everything with your system. Because once you do this, your income grows without requiring more from you than your system can handle. And that's how you increase income without burning out. The Daily Yield. Because we're building real financial progress, one step at a time.